It may be interesting to recall and note that any time the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, visits President Donald Trump of the United States of America, US, something strange or new does occur in the Middle East, either starting a new war or a new attack tactic is being deployed into the existing theater of war. This historical timeline of bilateral meetings between Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump directly maps the introduction of increasingly aggressive military tactics in the Middle East. To start with, it may be recalled that after their campaign meeting on July 26, 2024, Israel executed an unprecedented cyberkinetic supply chain attack on September 17 and 18, 2024, by remotely detonating booby-trapped Hezbollah pages and walkie-talkies, a strange military tactics that kept almost everybody in the world talking. And after Netanyahu's inaugural visit to the White House on February 4, 2025, a breakdown in ceasefire negotiations led to the total collapse of the January Gaza truce and a massive, renewed ground reinvasion by late February 2025 began, following consecutive strategic summits on July 7 to 9, 2025. Joint forces of the US military and the Israel Defense Forces executed a high-intensity, 12-day dynamic air campaign featuring preemptive subterranean strikes directly hitting Iranian infrastructure, and in addition, following Trump and Netanyahu emergency winter bilateral meeting at Mar-a-Lago on December 29, 2025, regional hostilities escalated into an all-out, state-on-state comprehensive joint war against Iran that broke out on February 28, 2026, leading directly into the current theater of warfare that saw the killing of the Iran supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. And on Friday, the Israeli government informed the general public that the Israel Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, has prepared to depart Israel on Monday for his next scheduled White House summit on Tuesday, July 28, 2026. According to the Office of the Prime Minister of Israel, at the invitation of US President Donald Trump, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will depart this coming Monday for a visit to Washington. During the visit, the Prime Minister will meet on Tuesday with President Trump at the White House and attend the funeral service for Senator Lindsey Graham, a friend of Israel. This visit is coming at a period US and Iran began new rounds of attacks and hostilities in the Middle East. The visit will mark the seventh formal meeting between Netanyahu and Trump since Trump returned to the White House in early 2025. Available information indicated that the White House and Israeli officials have been navigating intense bilateral discussions as President Trump weighs pivotal strategic options. These include whether to authorize a resumption of major combat actions and a broader joint military campaign alongside Israel, following 5 months of direct military conflict with Iran that has taken new twists since early July 2026. As massive military campaigns continued in the Middle East, US forces are aggressively enforcing a
We just decided to make this one of our plugin free because WordPress plugin directory does not permit us to sell our premium plugins, but only give us opportunity to advertise our premium plugins, and they demand that we must make our plugin or one of our plugin free, completely free for life. So we decided yesterday and this morning to submit one of our plugins that will be entirely free. It will also give millions of WordPress users opportunity to test the efficiency, the effectiveness, the quality and the uniqueness of our plugins. And this is the list of the high quality of plugins. We currently have over 40 plugins that we are still doing the legal and technical documentation. We have only released 2. So we hope that before this week runs out, we are going to release more of these plugins. We have plugins to address a lot of marketing issues, not only for news and all that. For you that run e-commerce, you run a business, you are looking for a digital licensing hub. We have already built that and we have test run it, and it's working perfectly effective. So it will be among the early plugins we will release, so that businesses across the world, you can be able to sell your digital goods to your customer and have 100% full control of it. Even though somebody breach into your identifier and use your digital assets, this you have full control of it to deactivate or reactivate or approve, pending when you are satisfied that the person has met up with the monetary obligations. And this plugin is universal and globally. Anywhere you are in the world, all you just need to do is to check the payment store, the storefront, any of the e-commerce that can deliver digital goods, and the e-commerce, the currency support your country. Anywhere in the world, you can use this plugin. You can use it because we build this plugin without specifically narrowing it or limiting it to any storefront or limiting it to any specific AP. So it's between you and your client, and your own is to get confirmation from your payment store that yes, the client has made payment, and once the client make payment, the payment store will complete its duty of delivering the assets, the digital assets, to the client immediately.
Software engineering and media firm Osizuwa Konedo Limited has announced the global release of its new server layer database utility, the Osizuwa Konedo Dynamic Autoload Optimizer, version 2.1.0, engineered as a premium, high-value must-use (MU) plugin. The software addresses one of the most widespread yet invisible performance bottlenecks plaguing modern digital publishing: the accumulation of orphan configuration data within the core WordPress database structure. The software targets large-scale web architectures, news networks, corporate platforms, and search engine optimization (SEO) agencies that suffer from unexplainable mobile lag, high bounce rates, and random server crashes during traffic spikes. While traditional web optimization tools focus on front-end patches like file caching, CDN integration, and image lazy loading, the Osizuwa Konedo engine targets the server-side database configuration layers where initial loading speeds are decided. Every standard page request on a WordPress site initializes a database query that automatically reads every option row tagged for initialization and dumps it directly into the server's active RAM memory before web content or text grids can even render. This structural mechanism causes extreme back-end bloat over time. When web teams install, test, and subsequently delete heavy free plugins or third-party tracking tools, those modules leave behind massive rows of configuration footprints. Because WordPress does not purge these options upon deactivation, they remain in the system forever, forcing the server to load megabytes of dead software code on every single click, exhausting CPU threads and spiking time to first byte (TTFB) latency. The system bypasses this hidden crisis through a dynamic identification umbrella matrix. Upon manual activation, the algorithm maps the live site ecosystem, automatically identifying and safe listing core WordPress keys, active theme folder structures, child theme style sheets, and every active plugin directory prefix. This safeguards the site against database corruption. The engine then runs an automated database parse targeting unmapped, abandoned option keys exceeding an 8 kilobytes critical risk threshold, cleanly converting their status from auto-loading RAM targets to standard demand-only queries. The creation of the database tool was driven by the firm's real-world experiences running high-traffic news properties like Osizuwa Konedo.news, a heavy media network running continuous dual live stream video feeds, interactive currency calculation matrices, and intensive Google AdSense ad networks on individual pages embedding up to 200 high-resolution images. Testing has shown that unoptimized database autoload bloat can cause websites to completely freeze and time out under synthetic loading tests, even on premium cloud hosting frameworks. To maximize structural efficiency and maintain a zero-overhead footprint, the software introduces a proprietary, automated deactivatable connector engine that eliminates the need for manual FTP file renaming. Webmasters simply access the dedicated settings panel and toggle the native operating. Software engineering and media firm Osazuwa Konedo Limited has launched a specialized software bundle designed to fix traffic loss, broken layouts, and revenue drops caused by traditional WordPress optimization tools. The new software, named the Osazuwa Konedo Site Optimizer and Search Engine Optimization Dominance Suite, specifically tagged Osazuwa Konedo Strict Consent Jail, JS, Image and Robots Text Site Optimizer, target high-traffic digital publishers, news platforms, television stations, and e-commerce agencies globally, as it may be interesting to know that modern websites face a difficult trade-off between loading speed and monetization, as standard performance plugins routinely speed up pages by aggressively blocking heavy scripts, which inadvertently disables legal cookie consent banners, lowers ad viewability metrics, and blocks critical search engine index crawlers. The newly introduced server-level solution is engineered specifically to eliminate mobile layout delays, solve unused JavaScript bottlenecks, and dramatically improve Google Core Web Vitals scores without disrupting digital advertising streams or heavy live stream media nodes. The system completely bypasses traditional caching limits by functioning as a zero-overhead must-use plugin ecosystem that operates directly at the core server level to run automatically before standard plugins or themes load, clearing the main thread to maximize page load speeds while safeguarding monetization channels. Osazuwa Konedo, Chief Executive Officer of Osazuwa Konedo Limited, stated that most optimization tools on the market treat all scripts the same, which routinely kills publisher earnings on platforms like Ezoic, AdSense, Open Video and Humix. The suite was engineered from the firm's own experiences running high-traffic news properties like Osazuwa Konedo News, which features 2 continuous live stream video stations, floating widgets, and aggressive Google AdSense ads on a single page displaying 100 to 200 images without experiencing layout stutters or sudden visual jumps. Konedo added that the framework protects monthly ad paychecks and search rankings by organizing scripts on an automated, human-verified timeline, forcing heavy media assets and tracking pixels to wait until the core content loads flawlessly. The core architecture relies on an integrated multiple engine matrix that separates itself from generic optimization modules by operating directly at the server code layer. A 4-tier script orchestration engine utilizes human traffic validation to run legal privacy frameworks instantly, ensuring out-of-the-box compatibility with the Interactive Advertising Bureau Europe Transparency and Consent Framework by automatically executing global consent management platforms like Cookiebot, OnNetTrust, and User-Centrics with zero loading lag. Simultaneously, the matrix holds back non-essential background advertising arrays and heavy widgets for 3 seconds to drop total blocking time to 0 milliseconds upon the first paint. This is supported by the Precise Image Delay Engine, known as Clean Snap version 3.7, which replaces traditional fade animations with a zero-flicker model that instantly abducted 40-year-old Omotsiri Syrian Ibori, née Ben, and her 7-year-old son, Williams Ibori Jr., have safely broken free from their captors yesterday evening after a 5 million Naira's ransom payment was delivered secretly to an anonymous drop-off location, completely shifting the narrative of a tragic daylight ambush by heavily armed gunmen that had originally plunged Ogara, the ancestral home of former Delta State Governor, Chief James Onanefe Ibori, into intense fear and tension, highlighting a terrifying surge in local insecurity, as this victim is the youngest widow of the respected Ibori family patriarch, retired soldier, and former Onugbogodo of Oharefe, High Chief William Boyi Agbakanyo Ibori, who was born on February 2, 1942, and passed away from a heart attack at age 76 on July 11, 2018, leaving behind his wives, Mrs. Elizabeth and Omotsiri Syrian Ibori, alongside 9 children and 18 grandchildren, while her father, Chief Lucky Ben, recently confirmed exclusively to Osasuwakonedo News Media that his daughter is currently 40 years old, which clarifies historical timelines and corrects past social media rumors by establishing that she was approximately 32 years old when her high-profile traditional wedding ceremony was celebrated in Oharefe on Saturday, March 17, 2018, just 4 months before her husband's demise, meaning this high-profile abduction has severely worsened local anxiety by coming on the heels of another recent violent incident in Ogara where local farmer Mr. Vincent Adoja was brutally murdered on his farm and his wife kidnapped for ransom, forcing Ethiopia West Local Government Council Chairman Honorable Chris Onigba to vow an aggressive security crackdown as terrified residents demand urgent, decisive tactical intervention from the police command to halt the growing criminal epidemic, though a wave of deep relief has swept through the family space after a close source confirmed the breakthrough directly via an urgent text message stating that they have gone to drop the ransom and she has been released to them, following aggressive backdoor negotiations that forcefully broke down the heavily armed gang's initial staggering 150 million naira's ransom demand. The victims regained their freedom yesterday night after the family successfully delivered a 5 million naira's ransom payment to the kidnappers. The breakthrough was confirmed through an urgent message sent by a close family source to Osasuwakonedo, expressing immense relief as the ordeal came to an end. "My wife just sent me this. They have gone to drop the ransom and she has been released to them," the family source stated. The armed gang had initially slammed a staggering 150 million naira's ransom demand on the family shortly after the violent ambush. However, tense negotiations over the last few days successfully brought the demand down to 5 million naira's, which was physically delivered to a designated drop-off point before the victims were handed back over to their relatives. Both victims are currently being reunited with their family members. This high-profile kidnapping occurs amidst apparent sharp decline in public safety within the Ethiopia West local government area. Tragic daylight abduction of 40-year-old Omotsiri Syrian Ibori, née Ben, and her 7-year-old son, William Ibori Jr., by heavily armed gunmen has plunged Ogara, the ancestral home of former Delta State Governor, Chief James Onanefe Ibori, into intense fear and tension, highlighting a terrifying surge in local insecurity, as this victim is the youngest widow of the respected Ibori family patriarch, retired soldier, and former Unubrogodo of Oharefe, High Chief William Boyi Agbekanya Ibori, who was born on February 2, 1942, and passed away from a heart attack at age 76 on July 11, 2018, leaving behind his wives, Mrs. Elizabeth and Omotsiri Syrian Ibori, alongside 9 children and 18 grandchildren, while her father, Chief Lucky Ben, recently confirmed exclusively to Osasuwakonedo News Media that his daughter is currently 40 years old, which clarifies historical timelines and corrects past social media rumors by establishing that she was approximately 32 years old when her high-profile traditional wedding ceremony was celebrated in Oharefe on Saturday, March 17, 2018, just 4 months before her husband's demise, meaning this high-profile abduction has severely worsened local anxiety by coming on the heels of another recent violent incident in Ogara where local farmer Mr. Vincent Adoja was brutally murdered on his farm and his wife kidnapped for ransom, forcing Ethiopia West Local Government Council Chairman Honorable Chris Onigba to vow an aggressive security crackdown as terrified residents demand urgent, decisive tactical intervention from the police command to halt the growing criminal epidemic. Close family sources confirmed to our correspondent that the victims, the wife of the late High Chief Williams Boyi Agbekanya Ibori and their 7-year-old son, Williams Ibori Jr., were intercepted last week Wednesday and bundled away by kidnappers on their way to Ogara. The victims have now spent 9 agonizing days in captivity. According to insider family sources, the criminal ring initially demanded a staggering 150 million nairas ransom for their release. However, following frantic negotiations, the kidnappers slashed the demands to 5 million nairas. Despairing relatives revealed that the family is still struggling to raise the 5 million nairas sum to secure the freedom of the mother and child. The late husband of the abducted woman, High Chief Williams Ibori, was the revered Unabrogodo, traditional spokesman of Oharefe in the Ogara Kingdom. A retired soldier and a member of the Delta State Advisory and Peace-Building Council, he passed away in 2018. This direct attack on his immediate family underscores a dangerous breakdown of security in the Ethiopia West local government area, spearheading fear that no one is safe. Just days ago, on Monday, June 29, 2026, a brutal attack occurred on a farm in Ogara. A local farmer, Mr. Vincent Adoja, was ambushed and brutally murdered by armed assailants between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. while working on his land. The attackers butchered Mr. Adoja on the spot before forcefully carting away his wife into the forest. Africa Network for Environment and Economic Justice, ANEJ, has expressed deep concern over the acquittal of former Nigerian Minister of Petroleum Resources, Mrs. Dizani Alison Madueke, by a United Kingdom court, describing the verdict as a troubling moment for the global fight against corruption, illicit financial flows (IFFs), and impunity, a statement that follows the June 17, 2026, ruling at the Southwark Crown Court in London, where a jury cleared Alison Madueke of all 6 bribery charges brought against her by the UK's National Crime Agency, NCA, after a 5-month trial and 46 hours of deliberation, while her co-defendants, oil executive Olutimbo Oyinde and her brother, Doya Gama, were also acquitted, bringing a dramatic end to a saga that began more than a decade ago, a development that prompted ANEJ to take immediate action today, June 23, 2026, by launching a critical 2-day capacity-building workshop in Abuja in collaboration with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU, a body domiciled within the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, and Special Control Unit Against Money Laundering, SQML, an arm of the EFCC, to aggressively equip civil society organizations, CSOs, with the necessary tools to track, combat, and dismantle these very same illicit financial flows across Nigeria. Alison Madueke served as Nigeria's powerful oil minister from 2010 to 2015 and was the first female president of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. Her tenure was immediately hit by controversy when former Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN Governor, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi alleged that $20 billion in oil revenue had gone missing under her watch. In May 2015, just as the administration of President Goodluck Jonathan was handing over power to Muhammadu Buhari, Alison Madueke left Nigeria for London. By October 2015, the UK's NCA arrested her on suspicion of bribery and money laundering, seizing her passport and sparking a 13-year international investigation. For years, Alison Madueke's legal team fiercely resisted attempts by Nigeria's Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, to extradite her back to Abuja to face separate corruption charges. Her prolonged stay in the UK was repeatedly defended on critical medical grounds. Her lawyers disclosed that she was diagnosed with triple-negative cancer, describing it as the most aggressive form of breast cancer. Over the decade, her defense stated that she underwent multiple major surgeries and extensive chemotherapy treatments in London hospitals, leaving her at one point in a coma due to medical complications. These health battles, combined with the extreme complexity of cross-border financial tracking, left her on continuous UK bail for 8 years before she was formally charged in 2023. Despite prosecutors presenting evidence that oil contractors funded a life of luxury for her in London, including spending £2 million at Harrods, securing private jet flights, and occupying high-end
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.